Hello everybody and welcome to today's tutorial where I'm going to show you how to get your park entrances from looking like this to looking like this in just 5 simple steps. So let's begin. Starting with step 1 right off the bat, we have unique shapes or laying down the framework. I cannot stress enough how important this is, because if you have a framework of where you want to put your stuff, or having a rough concept, or even just placing down some random decorations to get an idea of what you wanted to come up with, is going to be far better than just doing it on the fly and then not really knowing where you're going with it, if that makes sense. I cannot stress enough, if you have a starting concept or a start idea, that is 10 times better than just going off the bat with nothing in mind, because you'll end up feeling lost and not knowing what you're aiming for. So I cannot stress enough, that is really where you want to start. So from here we want to go to part 2, which is decorations, decorations, decorations. I cannot stress this step enough, because decorations can make or break your park entrances, just like your park enclosures or anywhere else in general, because these suckers will absolutely control the setting, the theme, the vibe that you have going on. And depending on how often you tend to use decorations will really kind of dictate where viewers and guests will have their eyes trained to, which will really also nicely pass on to our third step, which is please use different camera angles other than just the bird's eye view we have going on here right now, as you can see, with all these trees getting placed, because that looks really good from up top, but maybe when we go zooming in and having a look, they're actually really sparsely spaced, and there is so much dead space at the bottom of the trees. Just like anywhere else, dead space kills the vibe. So please try to fill the dead space where you can, unless it's actually serving a purpose, such as the bottom right area I have going on in the rocky section of this park entrance, which you will see later on will really attest this idea of this Tyrannosaur setup, in that I won't actually have a Tyrannosaur in there, but I've got a Tyrannosaur decoration, and that will really kind of put that Tyrannosaur statue into the subject or the forefront, which is the intention. So have a think about your concepts, have a think about where you want to put your decorations, because as you can see, which I'm doing even right here with the benches, I'm filling in dead space on the path, because that really makes a huge difference. And as you can see here, here's the Tyrannosaur I was talking about earlier, and look how that space is being utilized. Yes, it's dead space to a point, but it's really bringing that Tyrannosaur to the forefront. So come up with ideas for how you're going to fill dead space, because you don't want to oversaturate it, but you also don't want there to just be a whole bunch of flat space with nothing in it, because it's really going to take away from the majesty that is your park entrance or your park in general. So from here, moving on to step 4, because we're going and we're just zooming through them, is I cannot stress enough how important it is to please, if you take nothing else from this video, please just make sure that you use the terrain to your advantage, because the terrain is so important. I mean, as you can see here, I'm on a flat square level, and I am using that terrain to my advantage, because if I make slight dips down or slight dips up, that's going to be far better than just a flat space. Yes, you don't want to go overly crazy and make a massive hill and then a really big valley, unless that's exactly what you want to do. But again, come up with these concepts, come up with these ideas, because there's nothing worse than building on a flat space, because you can really use that terrain to utilize this guest perspective, right? Maybe the park entrance is on the top of a hill and you're walking down and you can see everything for miles. Maybe it's starting at the very bottom and every section you walk through gets slightly higher in elevation, and that unleashes a new perspective for the guests. Maybe you even just drop in and out of valleys or onto hills, or you're using zip lines, you know? Really think about how the terrain can be used to your advantage, maybe even using water as I've done here with the Tyrannosaur in the background. It's just filling that little bit of space, which can really, again, create that character, because now this little section outside the concrete barrier and the lamps with the T-Rex is more like a watering hole than just dead space with forest or whatever. So create the narrative, really spin it, because it could be the thing that makes or breaks aspects of your park. And finally, moving on to the last step, lighting. Lighting is so good. See how I've got this red light going on here, this real ominous nighttime vibe we've got, and then the bright lights on the outside of the decorations, just to give that that flavor and that outline of where the border is. Very helpful, and at times a little annoying, but the point is, lighting can really make a difference. I mean, look at all these different light colors we've got here. See the difference it's making with those lamps and the Biosin fountains. I've changed all that from red to orange. It's a slight difference, but see how the tone shifts from something a lot more menacing and threatening to something maybe a little more relaxed and I almost want to say ominous in a way, because it's not like red in your face danger, it's more like a slight ominous color which makes you uneasy. So again, filling in dead space, use the lighting, please use terrain, whether that's the water, the forests with decorations, or just increasing the valleys or hill variants that you've got in your park. Decorations, once again, super important. As you can see here, if I had just gone with the forest tool through here, it wouldn't be nearly as nice. And yes, it takes far more effort, but it is so worth it in the end. This whole park entrance took me an hour, and I mean, look how stunning it is. And finally, please remember, lay the foundations at the beginning, because it will really help in the long run, so that you have a much better idea of where you're going with it. But here's the final product, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly enjoyed making it, so please let me know if you liked it by pressing that like button and commenting down below, because it really helps me out, and I also really love knowing what your guys' stories are, what your thoughts are, even what tips you have, because let's just exchange ideas in this cool little community we have going on. But that's enough from me. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope to see you next time.